Welcome to the Cup of Joe Wrestling Show.
Cup of Joe Wrestling Show?
With Joey Harris. A podcast for the wrestling fan on the go. So take your favorite beverage of choice and join Joey as he takes a look at some of the biggest shows on the WWE Network.
Welcome to the Cup of Joe Wrestling Show. I'm your host, Joey Harris, and we are broadcasting from makeshift studios in the shadow of South Central Virginia. Follow the show on Twitter and Blue Sky at Cup of Joe Pod. You can email the show at cupofjoewrestlingshow@gmail.com. You can support the show at paypal.me/cupofjoepod. I am also on Cash App and Venmo at the Joey Harris. If you would like to send me a couple of bucks that way, I would appreciate it. And folks, we are back again today as we take a look at NXT Takeover Dallas from the WWE. NXT Takeover Dallas was shown on the WWE Network on April the 1st, 2016 from the K. Bailey Hutchinson Convention Center in Dallas, Texas. There were 9,000 in attendance. Tom Phillips and Corey Graves welcome us to take over and run down some of what we're going to see. We start out hot with the NXT Tag Team Championship match. The Revival, Scott Dawson and Dash Wilder versus American Alpha, Jason Jordan and Chad Gable. American Alpha out first, the Revival comes out next, and they are ready. Gable and Dawson start. They lock up and drive to a corner and break. Dawson tries to intimidate Gable. Gable with a takedown for a 2 count. A Gable chant goes out. All 4 men are in. Dawson gets Gable in a top wrist lock. Back and forth. Jordan tagged in and hit a big drop kick. Dawson with a cheap shot to Jordan. All 4 in again, and American Alpha with double backdrop, and Jordan gets a 2 count. Wilder in. Jordan gets him down in American Alpha's corner and tags Gable in. Gable gets an armbar on. Wilder breaks and Dawson tagged in. He and Gable trade shots. Gable with the reverse crossbody for a 2 count. All 4 in it again, and American Alpha with the double drop kick to the Revival. They follow it up with dueling German suplexes. Revival rolls out to regroup. Wilder tagged in. He clotheslines Gable on the outside. Revival quick tagging to keep Gable down. Dawson gets a 2 count. Wilder then gets a 2 count. Wilder with a cover clutch. Gable struggles to get out. Dawson enters and hits a sliding dropkick for a 2 count. Dawson with a gory special. Gable reverses it into a sunset flip for a 2 count. A double DDT to the Revival. Wilder rolls out and goes under the ring to come up behind Jordan to pull him down to prevent the tag. Revival with a spike piledriver to Gable, but Wilder covers and he's not the legal man. The crowd gets on the Revival. Wilder tagged in and misses a corner charge when Gable moves. Dawson and Jordan both are in, and Jordan dominates. He gets a close 2 count. Dawson covers Jordan with Wilder holding his legs on the ropes for leverage, and Jordan still kicks out at 2. Both teams do a series of near falls and saves. Jordan with a close count on a sunset flip. Jordan with a release belly to belly. Gable in and more close 2 counts. Gable and Jordan with the grand amplitude to get the pin on Dawson and become the new NXT Tag Champions. Jim Ross, Michelle Beadle, and Kota Ibushi are shown in the crowd. We then get a feature on NXT on Tour. Bayley and Asuka are shown getting ready. Flashback to what led to the next match. Baron Corbin versus Austin Aries. Corbin out first. He looks ready for competition. Aries out to a good ovation. The bell rings and Aries goes after Corbin. He strikes early. He hits a series of leg strikes. Corbin throws Aries off. Aries comes back with a forearm to knock Corbin out of the ring. Aries then comes off the top rope with a double axe handle to Corbin. Aries is all over Corbin. They get back in, and Corbin hits a stun gun. Corbin stomps and kicks Aries. Corbin then chokes Aries. Corbin throws Aries into a corner post for a 2 count. Corbin with a nerve hold to Aries. Aries fights to get out. He does, only to get attacked in the corner by Corbin. He gets a 2 count. They trade blows. Aries with a series of forearms. He chops Corbin in the corner. He gets Corbin on the ropes and hits a double axe handle. Aries with a missile dropkick. Another dropkick to Corbin in the corner. Corbin rolls out, only to get hit with a suicide dive by Aries. Corbin comes back with a deep 6 to Aries on the floor. Corbin gets in and the referee counts Aries. Aries gets in on 9, back and forth. Aries counters an end of days attempt into a roll-up to pin Corbin. We get a WrestleMania ad. Finn Balor is shown arriving to the arena. We then get a feature on what led to the next match. Sami Zayn versus Shinsuke Nakamura. Scott Hall and X-Pac are shown in the crowd. Zayn out to a fantastic reception. Nakamura also out to a great reception as his reputation preceded him. The bell rings and they just stare at each other as dueling chants go out. They circle each other and Nakamura avoids locking up. They finally lock up and break at the ropes. They have moves and counters. Zayn with an armbar. Nakamura comes back with a wrist lock. Zayn reverses back into the armbar, into a series of arm drags. Zayn tells Nakamura to bring it. Nakamura with a series of kicks and a knee drop. More moves and counters. Nakamura with an armbar to Zayn. Zayn comes back with a back elbow. Nakamura responds with a knee and a skull kick for a 1 count. Nakamura with a front face lock and a suplex. Zayn comes back with chops and shots. He gets a 2 count. Zayn with a shot to Nakamura followed by a forearm. Nakamura knocked to the outside. Nakamura with a kick and a running knee to Zayn on the apron. A double count is going. Back and forth. Nakamura with a knee to get a 2 count. Zayn drops down and Nakamura falls to the outside and Zayn hits a plancha. He follows it up with a crossbody for a 2 count. This is awesome chant goes out. Nakamura with a series of knees to Zayn. Zayn comes back with a Michinoku driver. They trade forearms. Nakamura's nose is busted open. Nakamura with some hard strikes. He hits a series of kicks to Zayn. The referee checks Nakamura's nose. Zayn catches Nakamura with a clothesline. Nakamura goes for the armbar, but Zayn holds his hands together. They struggle. Nakamura breaks. Zayn with a series of rights. He kicks Nakamura. Zayn with the Koji clutch. Nakamura fights it. Nakamura turns it into a 2 count. Nakamura with a step up enziguri. A double count is going. Nakamura with a drop kick. Zayn misses a haluva kick and Nakamura hits an inverted exploder suplex. Zayn comes back with a blue thunder bomb for a 2 count. Nakamura falls to the outside. Zayn goes for a DDT through the turnbuckle and Nakamura hits him with a kick as he comes through. They battle on the top rope. Nakamura fights off an exploder attempt and hits a knee to the back of the head and the Kinshasa to get the pin. That was an incredible match. Nakamura shakes Sammy's hand as a thank you Sammy chant goes out, and they embrace. We then get a Hall of Fame ad. Samoa Joe is shown in the back. We get a feature on Bayley and her journey and what has led to the next match. NXT Women's Championship match. Bayley versus Asuka. Stephanie McMahon is shown in the crowd. Asuka out first and she gets a respectable ovation. Bayley out to a fantastic reception. The introductions are made and the belt is presented. The bell rings and they circle each other. They lock up. Bayley with a wrist lock. Bayley with an armbar. Asuka with a shot. Asuka with a running block. Bayley avoids more strikes and kicks. Asuka gets several kicks in and hits a hip attack to Bayley. She kicks Bayley to the apron, but Bayley takes Asuka down. She gets a 2 count. She hits a shoulder to Asuka in the corner. Bayley with a back elbow and a crossbody. She hits a knee to Asuka. Asuka with an armbar. Bayley gets to the ropes. Bayley puts Asuka in the tree of woe and drops an elbow on Asuka. She gets a 2 count. Back and forth. Bayley with a top rope Hurricane Rana for a 2 count. Bayley with a guillotine choke. Asuka reverses into an ankle lock. Bayley twists to knock Asuka out of the ring. Bayley with a flying head scissors to Asuka on the outside. She gets a 2 count. Asuka with a drop kick and some heavy kicks to Bayley. Asuka with a missile drop kick. Back and forth. Asuka with a running knee. Bayley with a cover for a 1 count. Bayley with a belly to back suplex. Asuka with an enziguri. Both wrestlers are down and a double count is going. Double drop kick and they trade shots. Bayley with a knee bar. She drives the knee down to the mat. Bayley with a series of leg whips. Asuka gets the armbar on. Bayley forces her back to get a 2 count. Bayley with a suplex and a clothesline. Bayley goes for a double arm submission, but Asuka gets out. Asuka with a spin heel kick. She gets an armbar back on. Bayley reaches for the ropes, but Asuka gets her down. Bayley gets up, but Asuka gets her back down. Bayley passes out and Asuka wins and is the new NXT Women's Champion. Asuka is presented with the title and the referee checks on Bayley as Asuka celebrates. We get another WrestleMania ad. Flashback to what led to the next match. NXT Championship match. Finn Balor versus Samoa Joe. Bobby Roode is shown in the crowd. Samoa Joe comes out first. Balor comes out in his demon persona with a chainsaw going. He is extremely over with the crowd, but that chainsaw is creepy. Joe is not impressed. The introductions are made and the belt is presented. They stare at each other. The bell rings. Dueling chants go out. Joe goes for Balor. They trade blows. Joe is busted open early. Joe thrown outside and Balor hits a suicide dive. Joe attacks Balor and throws him into the crowd. Referee tries to clean Joe's cut. Balor goes after Joe. Balor beats Joe down in the corner and Joe gives as good as he gets. Balor sent out and Joe hits a suicide dive to Balor. The crowd chants, "Holy shit." Joe runs Balor into the apron. Medics come out and make Joe stop to clean his cut. Joe and Balor then hit each other. Joe with a sidewalk slam out of the corner. Joe with a double arm submission. Joe with a back elbow and an enziguri for a 2 count. They check the cut again. The crowd chants bullshit. Balor goes after the cut, but Joe is unstoppable. He chops Balor down in the corner. He hits a running knee to Balor. Balor tries to come back. Joe keeps the assault up and drops a knee on Balor for a 2 count. Balor comes back with a big running drop kick. The medical staff again checks on Joe. The crowd chants, "Let Joe bleed." Balor with a series of chops. An enziguri knocks Joe outside. Balor follows it up with a drop kick and a running kick from the apron. Balor goes for the sling blade. Joe counters with a released German suplex for a 2 count. Joe chokes Balor in the corner. Balor hits the sling blade. Joe with a senton for a 2 count. Joe hits a powerbomb for a 2 count. He transitions into a Boston Crab and then the crossface. Balor gets out and hits a double stomp. Balor hits another sling blade and a drop kick. He goes up top, but gets caught. Joe hits a muscle buster for a close 2 count. They trade shots. Balor with a Pele kick. A double count is going. Both up, and Balor with another sling blade and a drop kick. He hits the coup de grace. Joe gets the cocaine clutch on. Balor pushes off and gets the pin while in the hold. That was a fantastic match. They replay what happened. Joe walks up the aisle and he looks back at Balor before leaving as they sign off from Dallas. Final thoughts. A great show all around, and NXT is starting to hit its stride. You can follow me on Facebook, Threads, and Instagram at @TheJoeyHarris. If you like the show, please leave a review on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, or your preferred podcast app. I would really appreciate it. We can also be found on Spotify and YouTube. Just search for The Cup of Joe Wrestling Show and don't forget to hit subscribe. Patreon.com/BabyKangarooMedia for bonus episodes of The Cup of Joe Wrestling Show, The Joey Harris Super Show, The Green Room, The Book Club Baristas, and so much more. Just $5 a month for hours of extra content. Thank you for joining me. This is Joey saying so long from the heart of Virginia.
The Cup of Joe Wrestling Show is a production of Baby Kangaroo Media.